Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another Mac Merlin stream. I know we're about what two hours later than usual. Yeah, mainly because Saturdays are when I usually go off and do my errands, and sometimes errands take longer than anticipated. But yeah, still gonna do a build stream. This is not a customer's build. This is basically a rebuild of my Emery 65. So thank you everyone for joining. I see an Itharok, Malk, and Effie Keeps. Thanks guys for joining in. Just a quick announcement before I start. So if you guys run through the commands, you might notice that I have a new command in place. This one is Zenclack. Yeah, Zenclack is my newest partner to the channel. In fact, they have sent me switches to try out with this board. You may know them as the proprietor of Geekark Tea. They now have their own switches. Let me show you guys really quick what I mean by that. Here we go, you guys can check it out. These are basically JWK switches with a long stem, 62G, milky top, and nylon bottom. 62G gold-plated, dual-rated 19mm slow spring, 13.45mm palm stem, and unlubed. Unfortunately, the ones I have aren't exactly what would come from the factory straight to the customer, but it's more like something that he hodgepodged together. But he assured me it's going to be super close, super close. So yeah, check out that link. I do get a small kickback if you guys click on it and buy it through him. But yeah, let me show you guys what I have here. Yeah, today we are using my Z60, so far my current favorite 60%. And to, keep up with the theme of the show, I'll be drinking some oolong tea. Yeah, there it is. This is so far has been one of my favorite 65%. It's got a brass bottom. See that all brass bottom, which contributes significantly to its weight. Aluminum 6063 top, and it comes with a Yankar design PCB, so it's got all those those new ARM features on it. When I got this board, it was a very busy week, so I chose to rebuild it with a hotswap PCB, the Novelkeys G67. So everything worked out. I was actually surprised that it did. But ever since I did that, people have been asking me, Merlin, I can't buy a G67. Where else can I get a hotswap PCB, And I did not know at the time until someone on their Discord was like, Merlin, I think the Bakeneko PCB might work. So I ordered one for myself just to see what would happen. I already know that it works because someone on the Discord channel confirmed it, but I want to try it for myself. These look like single color in-switch LEDs. Yeah, ARM microcontroller over there, reset buttons here, USB daughter board port over here. So everything looks good. Yeah, let me show you guys the switches I'll be using. This is it. Okay, so he did some OP blacks. So as I said earlier, these are not what you're gonna get once you buy the Ooolong switches. These are just a hodgepodge of what he tried to make. But he has assured me it's gonna feel like this. He says that they're unlubed. Well, they're unlubed from the factory, but the ones he sent me definitely feel and sound lubed. I wonder if this is just his own handiwork of stuff. But yeah, we'll be using these switches to do our build. So yeah, I'm just gonna put this board away for now, and we're gonna put stabilizers on the Bakeneko 65. we go. This is the polycarb plate. So earlier I was mentioning that, okay, so this plate has 3 tabs all around it. If you guys caught the first build of my Emery 65, I actually did try to use the Novelkeys G67 plate. The difference with that plate was it had 4 tabs, so 2 really long ones on top and 2 very long ones on the bottom. This one has 3. So if you really wanted to find a plate that would fit, it would absolutely need to have tabs this exact size and this far apart, which is a lot more limiting than the PCB. And so I can tell for sure that this plate is a whole lot flexier, but I don't know what I'll make of that. Flexi plate. So in terms of my preferences, when it comes to gasket boards, especially gasket boards that have this kind of structure, you know, basically the gaskets sandwich the plate between them, that kind of gasket mounting, I prefer stiffer plates, stiffer and more, and plates that are denser. Like, I greatly prefer aluminum over plastic when it comes to situations like this. So I'm actually curious whether or not I will like this build. Like, these are clackier switches. These sound clackier. So who knows if I'll like them or not. Like, the way that my Emery is built now sounds amazing. Probably has a lot to do with why I love that board. I'm a little bit curious whether or not I'll like this. My gut feeling is I won't, to be honest. Like, I'll like it, but I won't love it. I won't love it as much as my current Emery. Mandy110 is building the Dalco. Nice, that is a beautiful board. Oh, there we go. Okay, now it worked. I think it just had to do with the plate being stiff. Okay. Link to the... Yeah, sorry, KSA. People have abused that link in the past. So if you want me to paste it on stream, I can definitely do it, but you are gonna have to whisper it to me. Not jelly at all for the 959. Yeah, that 959 is beautiful. Like one of the most beautiful 60s I've ever seen. Okay, so one thing I'm noticing with the polycarb plate is that when I used the aluminum plate, the switches didn't come off. But whereas with this one, switches are just popping right off. Yeah, if I end up liking these, okay, so keep in mind, this is not what the Oolongs will look like. You want to see what they'll actually look like. There. Oops, that's not what I want. Go pre-order. Here, and you guys can even use discount code WIZARD to get 5% off. The Glendale, hey, thanks for joining in. So yeah, if you guys look at this, it's a creamy top with a blue bottom. But if you look at the ones that I actually have right now, these are the hodgepodge switches. They're supposed to sound and feel the same, but this is, I guess you could call these the prototype. See that? Yeah, check it out. Check it out if you guys are interested. Driving, but sort of around. Dude, focus on driving. I don't want you to be pulled over or like get into an accident. Oh, what happened? I was watching Macmillan. Alright, there we go. You've never seen the internals of an Emery 65. Here it is. You have a fitness channel. Videos take over 100 hours of editing alone. I'm sure you could find an editor. So for anyone wondering whether or not the Bakeneko 65 PCB fits in the Emery, here it is. You guys can see that it is pretty much a perfect fit. The PCB doesn't go over at all. It's not like the PCB isn't longer than the plate or wider than the plate. So that alone is enough to tell me that it works, right? Another thing is, as you can see, the cable for the daughter board goes to the left here. The only thing that's a little bit different is for the Bakeneko 65. The input port is closer to the top rather than in the center. So that's the one thing that I would caution you guys with. If I'm not mistaken, see, I believe the Emery 65 daughter board connector isn't this long. I had to change out the cable myself just to make it longer. So just be aware that you might need to do that as well. See, Tenloy says the cable that comes with the Emery 65 is still long enough for. Oh, perfect. At least for me when I built the Bakeneko. Okay, that's good. Good to know. So working on your wife to get a Siberian cat. My kids are banging her every day, but she's not muching it. It took my wife quite a long time to even say yes to a cat, but now she is a huge cat lover. I plan on making one of those reels where I film her and label it "My Wife and the Cat That She Didn't Want." She absolutely loves the cats. Alright, let's see. Will I like this board? Will it type well? Here, let me turn off my tunes. And we can do a typing test. Alright guys, you are gonna hear how noisy it is in my room with all the fans running and everything. So here, let me turn off crisp. Or actually, let's just take off this keyboard first. All right. Very clacky. I would say this is even clackier than the original build. I'd say this is even clackier than this build. So this build, the original build, is with the Texi ice candies and aluminum plate with the Novelkeys hotswap G67. I'm gonna say that just based on that sound alone, that's the fact that I've been typing on the Emery 65, I still like the original build better. This one still results, like this one I think is a little too clacky. As some of you know, I'm trying to like clacky. I'm definitely not on the complete super clack portion of it quite yet. It's like, this is the level of clack that I like. This one's a little bit too much for me. Like, it still sounds decent, but too much clack. And that's with the polycarb plate. Yeah, I think what's happening here is I prefer a crisp clack, the kind of clack that an aluminum plate can give you. So while this switch seems to be clackier, higher pitched than the Texi ice candy, the polycarb plate here is actually muting, is actually dampening that clack. So it is louder, it is higher pitched, but it's not crispy. Whereas this one's crispy, and I like this. So I still prefer this over this. Another thing that I noticed that I wasn't quite expecting, that this feels a bit stiffer, which doesn't make sense to me. Like, not only does the Bakeneko have like a, it's got that cutout right here, and I'm using a polycarb plate, but yet this feels stiffer to me. So, I don't know. Like, switches feel good. I actually like the switches a lot, and I like the level of clack that it gives us. But it's the combination of the plate and the PCB that's really confusing me. I was completely expecting this to be a flexier typing experience, but yet this one is softer. So I don't know what's going on there. Don't know. Maybe it's a thinner PCB. That's not something that I actually checked here. The PC plate doesn't have those cutouts near the gasket, right? So maybe that's why. Oh! I didn't even think to look. Yeah, this just completely surprised me. I was expecting this to be the softer build. But yeah, I think if I wanted to get this closer to where I would want it, I probably would go with an FR4 plate. But yeah, very interesting feel. Well, I like the feel, I'm just not too big on the sound. It's still a good sounding board. Still a good sounding board. I'll probably rock this for a few days. Rock it like this for a few days. We'll definitely be buying these Ooolong switches. Ten Louis says, another in-stock PCB that might work is the one for Portal. Ooh, okay. There we go. In-stock Portal PCB, 35 bucks. Ooh, okay. Look at that. Yeah, that does look like it would fit. Okay. So the Phantom 65 PCB should work too. And guess what? The Phantom 65 PCB from Maker Keyboards has flex cuts in it. Let's see, Phantom extra parts, hotswap PCB. Okay, not bad. Neopolo says, wondering if you know how easily you could use the Bakeneko 65 PCB for a Wilbur key cult one. Asking to put in my Aurora input Series 65. So theory says yes. They seem to fit, but I know of no one who has actually tried it. FitLab says, what would make them not fit? So if it's a Bakeneko inspired one, then I have reasonable confidence that they would. But what would make them not fit? For example, My concern is some PCBs may actually be longer than the plate itself. If you saw earlier, the plate was basically like exact fit to the bottom piece. So if the PCB happens to protrude anywhere outside of the plate, you're screwed. But at this point, the most available PCB for the Emery is going to be the Bakeneko 65. Bakeneko 65, Phantom 65, and apparently the Phantom 65 is going to be replaced by the Alexa. So I guess Alexa PCB as well. I think it's a good time to end this stream. So a quick recap of what we did tonight. Today, I rebuilt my Emery 65 to answer a couple questions. The first one is whether or not an aftermarket PCB such as the Bakeneko 65 would fit. The answer is yes, fits no problem. Number two was to try out the new Zenclack Ooolong switches, which is basically the JWK switch with a milky top, nylon bottom, 62G 2-stage spring. Wanted to try them out, wanted to see if they sound good. They sound good. They are a clacky switch, and they're currently on group buy. Next thing I wanted to answer was whether or not that combination would sound good on my Emery 65. The answer is yes, it sounds good, but I still prefer my original build, which was a aluminum plate with Texi ice candies. One thing I noticed is that with the Bakeneko PCB, even with the palm plate, it felt stiffer. Theories as to why that's so is because the Bakeneko PCB is 1.6 millimeters thick. This one is potentially a thinner PCB. No data to back that up. Second thing is apparently the palm plate doesn't have these cutouts on the tab like the aluminum plate does. So that surprises me as well. You know, you would assume that by virtue of its material, the polycarb would be more flexy than the aluminum. But apparently by putting these cutouts here, it introduces even more flex. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining in. My next stream is tomorrow evening, 7:30 p.m. PDT. If you guys want to hear what's happening this week in the world of keyboard group buys, definitely tune in. Thanks everyone for joining in, and have a great rest of your weekend. Goodbye everyone.